I turned 50. In 1980, Berkshire stock was trading at $375 a share. Today it's over $600,000. People ask me, Warren, what's your secret? And I tell them, it's not what I did, it's what I stopped doing. Like Charlie used to say, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there. See, when you're young, you can afford mistakes. You've got time, you bounce back. But after 50, every choice costs you something you can't get back. Years, health, peace of mind. I'm 94 now, and I've watched thousands of people make it to 50 with decent money, good health, and then destroy it all in the next 10 years, not because they're stupid, because they keep doing things that worked at 30 but kill you at 50. Today, I'm going to tell you about 5 choices. 5 things people over 50 keep doing. And every single one of them hurts more than you think. Let's start with the first one. Choice number 1, staying in high-risk investments. The first choice that hurts more than you think, keeping too much money in aggressive investments. I see this all the time. Guy comes to me, he's 55, and his entire retirement account is in tech stocks. Tesla, Nvidia, some crypto, maybe. And he says, Warren, I need to catch up. I started late. I need big returns. And I understand that feeling. I really do. But here's what he doesn't understand: math. When you're 30 and your portfolio drops 50%, you've got 30 years to recover. You can double down, keep adding money, wait it out. But when you're 55 and your portfolio drops 50%, you might have 5 years before you need that money to live on. A 50% loss requires a 100% gain just to break even. And how long does that take? In the 2000 dot-com crash, it took 15 years. The 2008 financial crisis, 13 years for full recovery. You don't have 15 years at 55. You just don't. I learned this lesson watching my father. Smart man, careful with money his whole life. But in his 60 seconds, someone convinced him to put a chunk of savings into speculative investments. Oil wells, penny stocks, things like that. And over the next few years, he watched that money just evaporate. The money wasn't even the worst part. It was what it did to him. The stress, the regret, the constant checking if maybe, just maybe, those investments would come back. Here's what I do, what I've always done. As I got older, I shifted to bonds, stable dividend stocks, things that let me sleep at night. Not because they're exciting, because they're predictable. Your 50 seconds are not the time to swing for home runs. They're the time to protect what you've built. Because the next crash, it's coming. It always does. And when it hits, you need to be positioned to survive it, not scrambling to recover from it. Choice number 2, prioritizing work over health. Second choice, still sacrificing your health for your career. I'm guilty of this one. For decades, I worked 70, 80 hours a week, lived on hamburgers and Coca-Cola, never exercised, never went to the doctor unless something was seriously wrong. And I got away with it because I had good genes. My mother lived to 92, my father 83, but not everyone has that kind of luck. I've known men who built incredible businesses, made millions of dollars, planned this perfect retirement. And then at 62, 65, heart attack, stroke, cancer that could have been caught early. And suddenly, all that money, all those plans, none of it matters anymore. Here's what people don't understand about health after 50. It's not linear. You don't decline slowly and steadily. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine, and then suddenly you're not. And once you're not, getting back is 10 times harder than it was to maintain in the first place. Your body after 50, it's like an old house. You can ignore the small problems when you're young and everything still works. But after 50, that ignored leak becomes structural damage. That skipped checkup becomes stage 4 cancer. I've got a friend, brilliant investor, made a fortune, but he spent his 50 seconds and 60 seconds working non-stop, ignored the chest pains, the shortness of breath, the doctors telling him to slow down, had a massive heart attack at 68, survived, but now he can't travel, can't do half the things he'd planned for retirement. He said to me once, "Warren, I spent 20 years earning money I'm now spending to stay alive. What was the point?" And I didn't have an answer for him. So here's what I tell people now. After 50, your health is your wealth. Not metaphorically, literally. Because without health, all the money in the world won't buy you the retirement you want. Go to the doctor, get the checkups, take the medications, exercise, even if it's just walking 30 minutes a day. Eat something green occasionally, not because you want to live forever, because you want the next 20, 30 years to actually be enjoyable. Money compounds, so does health. But unlike money, health only compounds in one direction after 50. Down, unless you fight it. Choice number 3, propping up adult children financially. Third choice, and this one's tough for people to hear, continuing to financially support adult children. I've got 3 kids. I love them, but I've never given them everything they wanted, and I've never bailed them out when they made poor decisions. Not because I'm cheap, because I understood something that took me years to learn. Helping too much hurts. When you're in your 50 seconds, you're at a dangerous intersection. Your kids are adults, maybe starting families, maybe struggling financially, and you've got some money saved up. Maybe not a fortune, but enough that you could help. So you do. You pay off their credit card debt, you co-sign their mortgage, you give them money for a business idea, a car, whatever they need. And every time, you tell yourself, this is the last time. After this, they'll be stable. But here's what actually happens. You delay your own retirement. You take on debt at the worst possible time in your life. You teach your adult children that dad or mom will always be there to fix their problems, so they never learn to fix them themselves. I made a rule early on. I told my kids, I'll pay for your education, I'll give you advice, but your financial life, that's your responsibility, and it was hard. I watched them make mistakes I could have prevented with a check, but those mistakes taught them what my money never could have. One of them came to me a few years ago, thanking me, said, "Dad, watching my friends whose parents gave them everything, they're helpless. They can't function when things go wrong. You taught us to stand on our own." Now, I'm not saying abandon your children. I'm saying stop treating 34-year-olds like they're 10. If they made bad choices, let them fix it. If they have a genuine emergency, help once, but set clear boundaries. Because here's the truth. You're not going to outlive your retirement savings by much if you keep draining them for adult children who should be standing on their own feet. And when you're 75 and broke because you bailed out your kids for 20 years, those same kids aren't going to be in a position to help you back because you never taught them how. Choice number 4, keeping up appearances and lifestyle inflation. Fourth choice, maintaining a lifestyle you can't actually afford. I drive a Cadillac. I've had it for years. People are always surprised by this. "Warren, you're worth over $100 billion. Why don't you drive a Bentley, a Rolls-Royce?" And I tell them, because the Cadillac gets me where I need to go. But most people after 50, they're doing the opposite. They're earning more money than ever before, and they're spending more than ever before to show it. Bigger house, nicer cars, country club membership, exotic vacations, designer clothes. Not because they need any of it, because they think they're supposed to have it at this point in their lives. I've seen this destroy people. They hit their peak earning years, ages 50 to 60, and instead of banking that extra income for retirement, they upgrade everything. And then suddenly, they're 65 and they can't afford to retire because they need $15,000 a month just to maintain the lifestyle they've built. So they keep working past 65, past 70, not because they love their job, because they have no choice. They're trapped by their own lifestyle. Here's what should happen in your 50. Your kids move out, your house should get paid off, your expenses should drop, and that gap between what you earn and what you spend, that should be the biggest it's ever been. That's when you accelerate retirement savings. But instead, people fill that gap with more spending. They finally have money left over, and instead of saving it, they find new ways to spend it. There's a guy I know, corporate executive, made good money his whole career, but in his 50, he bought a vacation home, a boat, joined 2 golf clubs, and now he's 67, still working, because selling any of those things would feel like admitting he made a mistake. He told me once, "I spent 20 years building a lifestyle I can't afford to leave." That's a prison, a comfortable one, but still a prison. So here's my advice. Sit down right now and calculate what you actually need to be happy. Not what your neighbors have, not what you think you should have at your age, what you actually need. For most people, it's less than they think. A comfortable home, reliable transportation, enough money to see friends, pursue hobbies, travel occasionally. That's it. Everything else is just weight. Expensive weight that's stealing your freedom. Choice number 5. Delaying estate planning and hard conversations. 5th choice, and this might be the most painful one, avoiding the hard conversations about your future. Nobody wants to talk about death, declining health, what happens when you can't take care of yourself anymore, so people just don't. They postpone it. They figure they'll deal with it later. But later has a way of arriving when you're least prepared for it. I've seen families torn apart because someone waited too long to have these conversations. No will, no power of attorney, no healthcare directive. And then suddenly, Dad has a stroke, can't communicate, and the kids are fighting over everything from medical decisions to who gets the house. Or worse, someone develops dementia, and because there's no plan, their spouse is stuck trying to manage everything alone, making decisions they're not prepared to make, draining their savings on things that could have been prevented with a conversation 5 years earlier. I updated my will regularly, not because I enjoy thinking about death, because I've seen what happens to families when there's no clarity. People who loved each other, suddenly suspicious, fighting, hiring lawyers, all because one person couldn't bring themselves to have an uncomfortable conversation. And it's not just death, it's the years before death. What happens if you can't live independently? What happens if you need full-time care? Who's going to make medical decisions if you can't? These aren't fun questions, but not asking them doesn't make them go away. It just means you're leaving the hardest decisions to the people you love most, at the worst possible moment in their lives. So here's what you do. This week, you sit down with your spouse if you have one, your kids if you have them, and you have the conversation. All of it. Where's your will? Does everyone know where it is? Who's your power of attorney? Do they know what you want? What are your wishes for end-of-life care? Do you want extraordinary measures, or do you want to go peacefully? Is your retirement account set up right? Do your beneficiaries know their beneficiaries? Is your life insurance adequate? Does anyone even know what you have? These conversations take maybe 2 hours. 2 uncomfortable hours. But those 2 hours might save your family years of pain and hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and family conflict. I've never regretted a single one of these conversations, but I've regretted every one I delayed. Now look, I know these 5 choices. They're not easy to change. You've been investing aggressively for years. You've been helping your kids since they were born. You've built a lifestyle you enjoy. You've avoided uncomfortable conversations because, well, they're uncomfortable. But here's the thing about being over 50. You don't have the luxury of denial anymore. When you're 30 and you make a bad financial choice, you've got 30 years to fix it. When you're 50 and you make that same choice, you've got maybe 10 years before it becomes permanent. The choices you make in your 50, they don't just affect your 50. They determine your 60, your 70, your 80 if you're lucky enough to get there. I've lived long enough to see how this plays out. The people who make the hard changes at 50, they have incredible retirements, freedom, health, good relationships with their children, peace of mind. The people who keep making the same choices, they struggle. They work longer than they wanted. They have health problems that could have been prevented. They're stressed about money when they should be enjoying life. You know what I think about sometimes? If I could go back to being 50, what would I do differently? I'd work a little less. I'd go to the doctor more. I'd spend more time with people I loved while they were still here. I'd simplify sooner. I'd have the hard conversations earlier. I made a lot of money in my 50, 60, 70. But you know what I can't buy? Time, health. The years I spent focused on the wrong things. Being over 50 isn't the end. It's a new beginning, but only if you're willing to let go of the things holding you back. Those aggressive investments that keep you up at night, let them go. That job that's destroying your health, let it go. The adult children who need to stand on their own, time to step back. The lifestyle you can't afford, simplify. The conversations you've been avoiding, have them this week. Because here's what I've learned in 94 years. The things you think are helping you are often the things quietly destroying your future. I'd trade my $100 billion to be 50 again, every penny of it, because you have something I can't buy. Time. The chance to get this next chapter right. Don't waste it on choices that hurt more than you think. If this message hit home, do something for me. Write "no more regrets" in the comments. Let me know you heard this. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Your 50 can be your best years, but only if you make them that way. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.